Good evening. This is Maestro with the Dawn of War 2 Retribution Elite Modcast. Today, we have a 1v1 on Paletooth Gorge. Our first player is Cry, also known as Hive City, playing as the Hive Tyrant. Big, tanky melee hero, quite possibly the tankiest, walks through cover and cannot be suppressed. His opponent is going to be Man of Faith, otherwise known as Tex, the Legend. He's playing as the brother captain of the Ordo Malleus, also a big tanky melee hero that walks through cover and cannot be suppressed, and also has received a few changes in the recent round of patches. Some buffs, some nerfs. Can't remember all of them off the top of my head. In particular, though, Psychic Lash was definitely changed, and I believe that was definitely one of the aspects that was nerfed. But there are other areas where he did get a few buffs. I think Unending Purge may have gotten a buff. Now then, we are going to see the Termagants coming out here for Cry, as well as the early Spore Mines. Double Termagant in this matchup does make some sense because it does offer a lot of control against the Brother Captain with the Crippling Poison ability. The early Spore Mines also making a lot of sense, particularly on this map, as well as the original version of it, Greentooth Gorge, because this is a map where garrisons are a little bit more prominent. Tyranids have historically struggled a little bit more in the anti-garrison department, although the fact that warriors can upgrade to Barb Stranglers and then later convert over to Adrenal Glands definitely soften or definitely ease things up a bit in that regard. But the Spore Mines is still something that is reasonable on a prominent garrison map like this. So first few shots are being fired here, mostly by the Inquisitorial Stormtroopers of Man of Faith. There was also a particularly interesting change that the Inquisitorial Stormtroopers had that is something that I would say probably for about 10 or so years that this game has been around, I didn't even really know existed. But while I'm droning on about things, let's also take a look at how much these Spore Mines, as well as the Hive Tyrant, are scaring off the Stormtroopers who are trying to kite the Spore Mines. And I guess the idea is prevent them from getting any value, but at the same time, are you sure you're preventing them from getting any value? I feel that there's a lot of value to be gained just by how far these Stormtroopers were pushed off. The Spore Mines have not yet been able to actually detonate on a target, but I feel like they achieved a lot of zoning value. Back to the Inquisitorial Stormtroopers, the change they received that, again, something I didn't even know existed until about a decade later, is that their formation was changed from Heretic to Guardian. Now, I believe, actually I'm going to confess that this is something where I don't know the technical details of this, so I'm kind of assuming and deducing, which is, I believe it basically means that they stand in a formation that is similar to the Guardians instead of similar to Heretics. Probably something that is more beneficial to the squad, and it does kind of seem to me that they seem a little bit more spread out than they were in previous patches. And I'm sure there's got to be someone who's going to watch this and can give me a little bit more information on that. But not just me, but like if I didn't know that, I'm sure there are a lot of people who didn't know that either. Anyway, Strike Squad are here. Strike Squad also a squad that did get some adjustments. I think the Strike Squad were actually buffed a little bit. Strike Squad were nerfed at one point in response to a time when they were a bit overpowered when they had the powerful Smite-like ability, where I'm actually blank. I think it might have been Banishment, but basically a Smite-like ability that was just a little bit too good, so they received some nerfs. Now the squad has received some buffs, not actually to the Smite-like ability itself, but just buffs in other areas related to the Justicar. Victory points looking pretty even so far, and my, what a build this is out of Man of Faith, going for the double Inquisitorial Operatives. Now, it does look like Tex, or Man of Faith here, is finding himself kiting a lot. He doesn't really have any kind of direct control against really, well, anything. The grenade launchers have been removed from the Stormtroopers. We have operatives, which may be equipped with shotguns, but unlike the other units in the game that are equipped with shotguns, they don't have any kind of suppression blast ability or shotgun blast ability that does knockback and suppression. They literally just don't have it. They have a smoke grenade, they have an incendiary grenade, as well as, they've got this fallback plan ability, which allows them to break retreat. They can also infiltrate, and that's also a dead Brother Captain sticking around there too long. The victory points are even, but to me it feels like Tex is struggling quite a bit. Ooh, but there goes an incendiary grenade, but at the same time, it's mostly walked out of by the Termagants. It feels like Man of Faith is constantly being pushed back in his base. He actually has the victory point lead, though, owing to a little map control that he's doing, mostly with the Strike Squad, which have been upgraded with the Tomes of Titan. Actually, I forget exactly whether it was either the Tomes of Titan or the Justicar that was adjusted, or maybe it was some combination of the two. So, Brother Captain has been repurchased. Here is the infiltration out of the Inquisitorial Operatives. Will we see a... just going to be shotgun initiation. And by shotgun initiation, I just mean range damage. Does chunk the Termagants down by about 10-20% of their health, as if those numbers are actually close, but enough to scare them off so that they actually don't lose any models at all. So Ravener's going to come out. Long tier 1 builds out of both of our players. Do we see any upgrades? Yes, we are going to see only the Rending Talons out of the Hive Tyrant from Pride. That's an interesting choice. Very disruptive, as we can see here. Although the Strike Squad actually do kind of kite away from it. They don't get knocked back, which isn't bad, but this is also just scaring the Strike Squad off. Here is some support, though, from the Strike Squad. The Strike Squad think about going back in. They will use Banishment. I forget if that's even the name of the ability. On the Ravener. Still not too impactful, certainly not enough to deliver this engagement in favor of Man of Faith. And once again, we're seeing that he's just being pushed back to every... Well, I don't know if it's prudent to say being pushed back every single time, but certainly that seems to be the way all fights are going. So Tex is technically winning in the sense that he does control more of the victory points, but I don't think he's winning through fight wins. He's winning through map control. He's winning through being evasive. And this Brother Captain. So, and this is definitely a consequence of Tex choosing not to go for Purgation Squad. The Purgation Squad really would be the go-to control unit and melee counter for the Ordo Malleus, but he's choosing to just try to manage things with kiting and micro. And in some sense, it is working. He has a triple cap despite the fact that he is all the way pushed back into his base. This is also generally a little atypical for Tyranids, where Tyranids are usually the ones who get a map control advantage in the early game and then have to really work hard to keep that advantage through the mid and the late game. Incendiary Bomb does go off, does kill one of those warriors, although certainly a lot of damage over time here that is not being inflicted because they are just walking away from it. So it does almost feel a little backward in that the first victory point that Cry is going to get back at this time is Tex's natural. Then then the contested victory point, and then finally, I mean, he actually doesn't have, oh no, he's got half health Hormigaunt Brood, not half health, but half model Hormigaunt Brood that will take that. Now, how well can Cry hold this point? I don't know if he can hold it that well against the double incendiary bomb. The Brood Nest. I feel like I said the wrong thing before, but anyway, the Brood Nest. Based on what I just saw, I think the Brood Nest is not the play in this matchup, and I think I honestly don't want to see the Brood Nest ever again unless he takes out at least one of the Inquisitorial Operatives. I mean, that being said, he's managing to hold this position even though the Brood Nest was wiped very easily. So, all things considered, things not looking too bad for Cry at all. He's getting a full generator bash while keeping his own farm. And that can potentially put him in a good position where there's a decent chance that he makes it to Tier 3 first. And if he can keep up the pressure on the generator farm, maybe even lock Tex out of getting to Tier 3 at all. Crippling Poison used on the Brother Captain. We see just how much he is slowed down. It's a 90% slow, that Crippling Poison, and so it basically looks and feels like he is immobilized. He was going practically nowhere after being hit by that Crippling Poison, but not enough damage poured into the Brother Captain to force him off the field. Hive Tyrant still here, and this is actually looking a little suspect for the Hive Tyrant. I feel like with a Brother Captain as well as a Strike Squad in retreat, there's a decent chance of the Hive Tyrant going down in retreat, which is why he wants the seismic roar to make it a little bit more likely. He was hoping probably to disrupt the strike squad, and now the Hive Tyrant is going to go down in retreat. Yeah, I think he was really looking for, hoping that the seismic roar would knock the strike squad over. I think he recognized that he was in a compromising position where he could have lost the Hive Tyrant, but also good counterplay by Man of Faith, who made sure that the strike squad did not get knocked over by the seismic roar. We did see another upgrade on the Hive Tyrant, but I can't check it right now. I think it was either, I feel like it might have been the extended carapace, but the only way I will know is once I check, once he is back alive. So Zoanthrope, I think the Zoanthrope makes quite a bit of sense given the build that we see out of Man of Faith, where we have just heavy ranged focus, and especially mostly squishy ranged squads. His main melee are the Brother Captain and the Strike Squad, two units that in most cases should have trouble getting in range of a Zoanthrope that is well positioned, and also that don't really have really strong damage pressure to scare it. The Strike Squad a little bit better just by virtue of being a squad with multiple models, but even a Strike Squad, just not nearly as threatening as something like, say, Purifiers. And especially not a melee unit from other races that might have higher DPS overall. Rhino comes out, immediately upgraded with the Heavy Bolter. This was something where the cost of the Heavy Bolter Rhino was increased slightly. The consonants just not properly coming out of my mouth at the moment. It was hit by a focused Warp Blast, but there wasn't actually any follow-up damage. I actually don't feel... I feel that he may not have needed to back up there. Might have been scared about a Venom Brood that he couldn't see, but didn't happen. There is no Venom Brood, so he's playing very, very cautiously with this Razorback that is actually mostly uncountered, and now we're going to see the Venom Brood come out. And again, I have the luxury of just being able to see things from a bird's eye view. Not quite as easy for Tex, and he might be concerned about driving into a Venom Brood, especially if he feels that the rest of his army is not going to do well in a fight against the rest of Cry's army. But it's going to be objectively a little bit harder for him now that the Venom Brood is actually here and there is some sort of sustained damage against the Rhino. Man, such defensive play. It feels like such defensive play out of Tex, and yet he still holds the victory point advantage. And I think a lot of it is on the play of the Strike Squad, a lot of which I am not capturing on the screen. And this is also something where I wonder, what is Cry doing wrong here? What could he be doing? Because in many ways it feels like Cry is winning. The fights usually feel like they're going in his favor, aside from this dead Hive Tyrant. But he is constantly losing the victory points, and I think a lot of it has to do with the back... I mean, not just I think. It is as a result of the backcapping. And this time we're not going to see the Strike Squad do it. We are going to see the Stormtroopers, the Inquisitorial Operatives, rather. They're going to catch the Raveners at half health. I think the Raveners can't even finish this. They're going to go down if they try to finish it. They might go down anyway. 14, 7, 8. And they actually finish it. Those long-range shotguns. That was crazy. Oh my god. Man of Faith actually being pretty oppressive here, despite how many times it feels like he's actually being oppressed. It's like, it very much is like a guerrilla warfare out of Man of Faith that is helping him win this game, because he's not winning a lot of the head-on fights. Brother Captain actually succeeds in getting the full cap, so Cry still does not have his natural. Cry is going to move the Hive Tyrant over there to take it back. It was indeed the extended carapace, giving him the charge ability. Does allow him to disrupt, and more importantly, it is a gap closer. That is probably just the biggest thing about the extended carapace, that Hive Tyrant moves very far, very quickly. Okay, Capillary Tower being put down to try to give the Venom Brood move speed. Now the Rhino is in a huge amount of trouble. I think it's just barely out of range. Oh no, but that turnaround, I think the Venom Brood are able to finish it off. No, they can't seem to no, they do reacquire the target. Wow. That Rhino got very, very little value, I feel. I'm just not entirely sure what happened. He did not really press the advantage that he had with the Rhino before the Venom Brood was present, and then at some point the Venom Brood were present. And then once they were present, the Rhino was just actually under a lot of threat. And Man of Faith, again, with the composition that he has chosen, doesn't really have some easy way of disrupting or tying up the Venom Brood. Especially if it's mainly on either the Strike Squad or the Brother Captain. They both have to just walk straight up to the Venom Brood, lacking something like interceptors that can teleport directly to them and put a lot of pressure. Okay, I think Tex for this time, though, is going to have to concede the double cap to Cry. Double operatives right here, not going to be able to take on the combination of the Hive Tyrant as well as the Barb Strangler warriors, who are sticking with the Barb Strangler. Thorax Swarm also equipped so that they have the Electroshock Grub and Desiccator Larvae. Larvae. I'm actually not sure how you pronounce the plural of larva. Tex now feels like getting a little bit desperate. He does have some upgraded Inquisitorial Stormtroopers, fully upgraded, in fact, both of them. Actually, no, wait, one of them, yeah, both of them have plasma guns. Both of them have acolytes. But still not enough to deal with the double termagants right here. And finally, Cry is able to hold on to his natural instead of constantly losing it to Tex, but he still is at a victory point deficit. Zoanthrope still moving out onto the field, and we're going to see, look at these late interceptors. What a unit to be getting this late in the game. Late interceptors. Very, very interesting for this purchase to be coming, and to be coming now. And I think he might just be feeling... at this point, the interceptors are mainly supposed to be threatening the Zoanthrope. And by Zoanthrope, I actually mean Zoanthropes. Yeah, I think at this point, 2 Zoanthropes out on the field. I think without at least one interceptor squad, I almost feel like that's like GG. And Tex is finally in a position where... I was about to say he might be losing the victory points, but he's actually decapping Cry's natural yet again. So he's going to white out the victory points. No, not quite white it out. There is still one capping for Tex. I don't think he even loses the lead here in the victory points. Zoanthrope does nearly go down to the upgraded, to the Strike Squad, actually. This is just a Strike Squad. Was able to just walk right up to the Zoanthrope. If he can actually coordinate that with the interceptors teleporting in at some point, then he might actually be able to take out those Zoanthropes. But, ooh, they decide to go in. They're here. Okay, they're going for that low-health Zoanthrope. I think that low-health Zoanthrope needs to get out of here, and then they need to focus on the second Zoanthrope. So the late Interceptor purchase actually proving to be the play. Part of me even wonders if maybe you should have got the Interceptors quite a bit earlier. Might have been able to still keep the Razorback alive if that was the case. Interceptor is also a unit that have undergone quite a few changes. A couple of patches ago, they were considered a little too good with their ability to teleport much more quickly, and also their ability to teleport multiple times when being fed energy. So a change that actually happened a couple patches ago was their teleport timer was increased from 1/4 of a second to 1.5 seconds. And that is something that turned out to be a little bit of an overcorrection, or turned out to be. When it was when it was 1/4 of a second, people didn't even notice the wind-up time. They just felt that it was instant. Then it was changed to 1.5 seconds, and that was extremely noticeable, and probably was too long. So now it's been reduced back down to just 1 second. However, I think a positive change in their favor is that there is something like when they teleport in, I believe they are immune to knockback 4 or 5 seconds. Ooh, I believe that is something like the Canticle of Absolution coming out. Actually, I'm not 100% sure. No. Actually, it might be. Anyway, Brother Captain, I don't know if this is his time to go in. Unupgraded Brother Captain going in. He might just be looking to see if he can pop one of the models on the Venom Brood to try to get them to retreat, but he's going to lose the Brother Captain in the process. Like, yeah, that was 100% not worth it. And what was that animation? Oh, but Cry is not keeping track of the Zoanthrope, and he just barely reacts in time to keep it alive. Okay, Warrior Brood being put here to defend against the Inquisitorial Operatives. One squad of operatives already pretty low. They're going to throw a grenade. That is going to be the incendiary grenade. Does manage to take one of the models. I think he's still standing around in some of the damage over time. Indeed he is. Another one's going to go in. This doesn't seem like the best micro fight between these two players. Might have some of their attention elsewhere. Strike squad here doing not a whole lot. And we're going to see a Dreadnought out of Tex. Both players actually still in Tier 2. When Cry had that generator bash at some point earlier in the game, when he took Tex's whole farm and still had his, I was looking at that as the possibility of Cry entering into Tier 3 while Tex is being stuck in Tier 2. If anything, at this point, it's actually looking a little bit rough for Cry in that regard. He has very, very low requisition income at the moment, at only plus 152. And he's committed to a pretty big army because we see these Gene Stealers that are there in addition to all these zone throws. We can't even see the Gene Stealers in the unit panel. And this is also something we're going to see. We should see a melee Dreadnought at this point. I feel like with a melee Dreadnought, I think it becomes incredibly hard for the Gene Stealers to get any value. The Gene Stealers already backing off. The Dreadnought is probably just going for the zone throws at this point. This does make life a lot harder for the zone throws. The Interceptors are also in a lot of trouble. They've already used their teleport, and now they are being swarmed. The zone throws are very much getting zoned out of here, so they aren't getting any value. But at the same time, the Interceptors are getting really, really low. I think the Interceptors get wiped here. They might have a teleport. They're trying to use a Psych Out grenade, but they have no hit points. I think they go down, and I think that's really unfortunate if they do. 8 hit points, 5, 3, 2, 1, and they are gone. Yeah, I think... Oh my, the victory points, though. I don't really like how Tex actually went about that engagement, and I also don't like that we still don't have a Dreadnought Claw here, because I think this Dreadnought is now in a huge amount of trouble and even might very likely be dead. I think Tex sent the Dreadnought and the Brother Captain after... Oh god, Dreadnought is absolutely dead. Oh no, this is disastrous for Mana Faith or Tex. I think, honestly with that, I feel like he loses the game here. He still has a victory point advantage, and he's still going about his backcapping ways. And the Rippers can't actually stop this. They just don't do enough damage fast enough. And the Strike Squad are coming. So Tex is not completely out of it yet, but compositionally in terms of the army that he has, I don't think he has much ability to win fights until he gets something new. So what I felt Tex should have done, oh my, now there is enough damage and the operatives might go down. I feel that Tex was using the Dreadnought and the Brother Captain to target the Zoanthropes, while the Interceptors teleported into the big infantry block. I think it should have been the other way around. I think the Dreadnought and the Brother Captain should have gone for the big infantry blob, and I think the Interceptors should have gone for the Zoanthropes. Interceptors would put a lot more pressure on these Zoanthropes. The slower speed of the Dreadnought as well as the Brother Captain also make it a lot easier for them to be kited. Meanwhile, something like the Dreadnought can last a lot longer against the infantry blob and just get a lot more value out of there, I feel. This is... Yeah, I mean, Tex is trying to get another Dreadnought out on the field, but the clock is really ticking here for him to... Like, at this point, he has very limited time to fully cap his own victory point and then minimally get a decap on the contested victory point. He still has... No, he doesn't even have the double operative, so the Brood Nest is not bad right now. He just straight up has to go for the decap here, using the infiltration. He doesn't even get it. Yeah, the charge there from the Hive Tyrant just completely prevents that from happening, and they even get taken out entirely. Yeah, at this point, this game is over. I think I said taked out. Taken out. So, I mean, Tex, he's going for the natural. He's going for Cry's natural. I don't think it happens. I think the Tyrant Guard is going to live up to its name, and it can actually guard this point. The Strike Squad can beat the Warriors, but they also don't have much time. And the Capillary Tower makes it easy for the Warriors to kite away. And now the Strike Squad absolutely do not stand a chance against the Gene Stealers. These dirty denim thieves. Oh my. Oh no. Goodbye. Your genes have been stolen. That's it. All right. Man of Faith calls the GG. Yeah, I think at the point where Tex lost his first Dreadnought and the Interceptors, that was basically when the game was over, and everything else was just... the rest of it was playing out. All right, boys and girls. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a good night.